Hey everybody, and welcome to April's edition of Board Game Buys. This is where I talk about all of the games that I have acquired over the last month. Now, I believe I have 9 games here to talk about, as well as 2 expansions and even some accessories. So lots to talk about. Now, before I get started on the games, I want to give a shout out to the show's sponsor, KIENDA.co.uk, who are my go-to online retailer. And if you use the link in the show notes or the QR code, then you can get 5% off your first order. But let's start with Evergreen. So Evergreen is actually, I suppose, a spiritual successor to the famous photosynthesis board game, but instead of being a shared board, as in photosynthesis, this one you all have your own individual player boards, and the scoring is certainly done in a completely different way, more focusing on that light system, which is actually my favourite part of photosynthesis. So it does away with that cutthroat nature and nastiness of the original. Now this one, you are essentially, again, you're sprouting these trees onto the board, you're growing them, and then every kind of quarter of the game, the sun is going to shine in one direction, and then you're going to get points based on the size of the trees, but some trees will shadow other trees, meaning they're not going to be eligible for scoring. So it's all about kind of thinking ahead and trying to maximize every single placement you can do. Now, I have only played this the once so far, so again, I am going to hold off my thoughts for now, or my opinion on the game for now, but I just wanted to give kind of an overview of the differences between this one and the original photosynthesis. So again, more focus on the light points, and the way you actually take your actions is different as well, because it does use this drafting system where you're picking a card which will show the zone on the board that you can take your actions in. But also the card remaining will be important, because that is going to give points at the end of the game depending on who has big trees in the particular region. So I do love that kind of dual drafting system where, you know, the card remaining is actually relevant and does something. So yeah, I'm definitely want to try some more of this one before I solidify my thoughts. But you know, if you like that mechanism, this one has, this game is all about that one mechanism really, but again, in a bit less of a competitive edge. So that is Evergreen. On to Merchant's Quest now. So this one was kindly sent to me by the designer of the game. I've not even read the rules yet. This one seems to be a blend of kind of an old school style game with some kind of modern design things going on, as you are basically traveling around this huge map with all these different hexes on. And I believe this game has some kind of supply and demand mechanism going on, as you're picking up these contracts, visiting these different locations, trading in goods and stuff, and even has this kind of degree of, I think, fighting off foes and stuff in the mountains. I'm not sure exactly, because again, I've not read the rules yet, but the way it was sold to me, it definitely sounded appealing to me. And again, I do like these kind of throwback style games with some modern sentiments going on as well. 45 to 60 minutes, you know, 1 to 6 players. Sounds flexible. Sounds like it has a pretty straightforward rule set. So yeah, the jury is out on this one. I think it is launching on Kickstarter at the end of next month. So I've got a bit of time to sink my teeth into this one and get my thoughts out to you guys. But you know, hopefully it's going to be good, because it definitely looks good. And again, it sounds like it's right up my alley based on the, you know, on the way it's described. So that is Merchant's Quest. On to an old school style game now. This is Pueblo. So this is a game that I've been trying to get my hands on for such a long time. Fortunately, Mojito Games did decide to republish this one, and it was a Kickstarter campaign that I obviously did support. And I was finally, you know, managed to get into my house, and I could actually finally manage to get it played. I've not played it yet, but it will definitely be right at the top of my priority list, because this game was like, you know, it was like gold dust for a long time. So essentially you are building up this big structure with these wooden blocks, and the idea is that you are trying to disguise your color as much as possible, because every round this little piece will go around the outside of the board, and depending on the row or column that it's on, it will score you points based on what it can see. But points are bad things in this game, so you want to be hiding your color as much as possible. I also love this touch when it hits the corners, it will be scored, but from a bird's eye view in each quarter of the ball. So definitely two things you need to juggle there. Now this game does have the potential to fall flat. I'm not sure if it's going to be a great hit for me or not, but I like the sound of it on paper. But is it going to work in execution? I'm not quite sure, but I have a lot of faith in Kramer and Kiesling. They're two of my favourite designers of all time. They're just excellent at what they do, and considering this is getting republished or has been republished, it's got to have at least some quality to it, and there has to be a game there. So very excited to give Pueblo a try. Finally, on to some smaller games now. So I actually picked up a copy of Yokai Sketch, a game that I've had my eye on for quite some time. A two-player only, kind of a tug-of-war style game. I can't remember the intricacies of this game because I looked at it a long time ago and it was on my radar. But I think it's pretty straightforward. I got a bit of tug-of-war, kind of flipping these cards around and things. But yeah, I'm really into my small card games at the moment. This is a nice, tiny little box. Gorgeous artwork by Vincent Dutrait, as you can see. So again, hopefully the gameplay is going to be solid. So yeah, again, very excited to play that one. And I'm getting quite a lot of two-player games played at the moment. A couple of games now that, again, I don't really know much about. They were kindly sent to me by the designer. This is The Seals of Cthulhu and Matches. So again, both the same publisher. I forgot the name of the publisher. There you go, Thing 12 Games, they're called. First off, production of these games is absolutely stellar. I mean, they're wonderfully produced. I believe The Seals of Cthulhu is some kind of bidding and a bluffing style game, which again sounds right up my alley. I love those two mechanisms. And Matches seems to be some kind of shedding style game, as you are basically throwing cards on this pile which will build up points and things. I have just dipped my toe into the rule book, but I've almost forgotten the rules already, so again, I will need to learn that one properly and get it played soon, hopefully. But I'll probably review these games together because again, they are going to come hand in hand by the same designer and the same publisher. So that is Matches and The Seals of Cthulhu. I reacquired a copy of Kahuna, a classic two-player abstract strategy game as you're trying to complete the dominance over these different islands. I have said on the channel before that I like this game. It's really cool. I don't think the scoring is perfected or the round structure is perfected. I could be wrong on that, but I think it could actually be streamlined a little bit further and made into a faster game. Because you play through this deck 3 times, I think you could probably play through it twice and kind of just tinker with the scoring that way instead. I'm sure I've thrown the balancing off somehow, but I can't really see that being the case. But it's a game that I've liked. I've finally got a physical copy of it. I picked it up for very cheap. You can get this for about £10 in the UK. And it's definitely a lot of game for that price. And it does feel like an absolute classic. It's pretty cutthroat and pretty aggressive. But being two-player, you've got to be... I suppose you've got to go into the game expecting that to some extent, but nice to have this one in the collection, and I'm sure it will stick around for some time. That is Kahuna. The game I've talked about on the channel already, Far Away. So yeah, this is one of my most hotly anticipated games, to be honest. I've played it only a couple of times now. I did share my thoughts briefly on my most recent ranking video. I did like the game a lot. I'm finding it very difficult to do well in this game, as I've covered in my most recent Hitting the Table video. But I do want to full on really play this game a lot before I share my thoughts on it, because I like it. It's at the moment, I did give it a recommendation on my initial plays. But you do have to be prepared that sometimes getting points out of this game is getting blood out of a stone, or maybe I'm just really bad at it. But I'm still really happy to have this in my collection now because it is so straightforward, but it does have some quite interesting decisions to make as you go. Another game I have already properly reviewed is Drau. So this one absolutely blew me away. I have done a full comprehensive... No, I haven't actually. I haven't done a comprehensive review on the channel, but it did rank #1 on my most recent ranking video. It's a trick-taking area control style game with real nuances, depth to gameplay here. I'm not going to go into it in a lot of detail because this isn't really a review video. But check out my most recent ranking video if you want to hear some more detailed thoughts on why I liked this game so much. But yeah, I was kind of on the fence to try this one, but I saw that it got this new deluxe copy, which is lovely, lovely to look at. Really good quality components, straightforward rule set, depth of play. Again, this is all the boxes that I'm looking for in games in my collection now, and it even comes in a nice small little box. So definitely a lot of game in a small box here, and you know, spoiler alert, it is absolutely fantastic. Okay, so let's move on to the expansions. So I picked up the Movie Star expansion to Picture Perfect, a lovely filler. Not fairly, more of a family weight, memory style game, but definitely a quirky game. And you know, I do like the obviously the base game of Picture Perfect a lot. I do think it could use a little bit of tinkering. We do use some house rules, but I'm interested to see what this expansion adds to the game. If it's just more kind of condition cards, which I really appreciate. You can see you get some more standees here with these kind of Laurel and Hardy and Marilyn Monroe style characters. So yeah, kind of open-minded to see what this game offers to it, and hopefully it adds to the game without convoluting it. And the same goes for the Hidden Wolves expansion for Triketa. You know, Triketa, a nice little filler game that I'm playing a lot of at the moment, a little push-your-luck set collection game based on Coloretto. The Hidden Wolves expansion adds in these wolf tokens which go below the stacks on the original Triketa, but they're worth a lot of points. And I believe this is kind of like a high-risk, high-reward style expansion where you can really dig deep into those piles, push your luck as far as you can get, with the hope of trying to get one of these sets of wolves, which could definitely be a difference maker. But hidden amongst those wolves as well, there's some other tokens which could obviously sabotage your other scoring. So yet to try this one, but I'm sure it's not going to hurt the experience at all. And you know, you can even just ignore the expansion because you can just do what you would normally do without digging into those tiles because they are different coloured. So you know, you can even differentiate them without knowing what's on the other side. So that is the Hidden Wolves expansion to Triketa. So that's all the games that I've played, but I was very kindly sent a set of these Magi 7 dice, which are absolutely gorgeous. You can see that they come in these lovely little boxes, a nice little drawstring bag there, and you can see that you've got like a kind of a D&D set of dice here, and these are probably the best dice I've ever seen. They're ultra high quality. You've got your D20s, your D6s, and there's tons of different kind of minerals and things you can choose. So yeah, I just wanted to show these off really because, again, for a nice little gift or stuff like that, this one, this will be a lovely, lovely present. Now, I do believe they're quite expensive, but you can definitely see where the money's gone here. They just feel, I wish I could portray how nice they feel. They've got a nice weight to them. And they look absolutely gorgeous. So, you know, thank you very much for Magi 7 for sending these across. I'll certainly try to make use of them, but I'm a little bit scared to use them actually because they are so nice. And, you know, you've got tons of different ones to check out there. I'll probably leave a link in the show notes if you want to go check these dice out, if you are a collector of dice or if you want a nice dice set. I don't think it really is going to get any better than these. So, yeah, tons and tons of options. And I'll leave the ones that I've got here maybe in the show notes as well because yeah, they really are that nice. But yeah, that's just a little something extra that I wanted to show you guys. This little Magi 7 dice set, absolutely gorgeous little package. So that's it really. That's all of the games that I have acquired over the last month. Definitely a big range here. Kind of some games that I'm going in completely blind to, with the kind of Cthulhu games and of course the Merchant's Quest game. But hey, I'm optimistic about all of these and even intrigued to try the expansion material out for Picture Perfect and Triketa. If you have enjoyed the video, please be sure to hit like and subscribe to my channel and check out my other content too. But for everybody else, I'll see you next time on Chairman of the Board. Bye bye.